What's this? Cortez has the replay mod working? No, this is me flying around. I'm just trying out some new shaders because the shaders I love to use are not working in 1.13. So I'm trying out Silda's shaders pack. It's pretty good, you know? Like, it's a lot brighter than my old shaders were, so a lot of shots look a lot better, but I do think I prefer the old one. I use Continuum, and the best part about the Continuum shaders is the surface of the water. See, in this one you can see right through it. It's not quite as... well, it's not to my taste. I'll quickly flick into Continuum to show you what they're like. So you can immediately see it's a fair bit darker, it's a bit more shadowy, but I think it looks just a touch more realistic. But I did mention that I like the water better. This is one of the things that is not working in 1.13. The water looks horrendous. So at the moment, definitely Silda's is much better, but please get Continuum working again. That is my favourite. But let's switch back. So as you can see, I've finally done a fair bit of work on the hanging gardens. We're definitely getting somewhere. And this is all I've designed so far because I get really bored in creative. So as soon as I figured out that I wanted these pillars, I forget what they're called, but I've seen these in Persian architecture. These freestanding pillars that are connected at the top. Don't know what they're called, but as soon as I figured out I wanted to put them in, I just jumped onto survival and put them all in because I was bored of creative. So we are building a ziggurat. Now a ziggurat is basically a tiered temple that used to be built in ancient Mesopotamia or Persia or whatever you want to call it. So it's just going to go up level by level in a big square shape, and then I'm going to decorate it with plant life, and that is going to be our hanging gardens. But the funny thing is, over here we have my Tower of Babel that I've been working on, and like it's up for debate completely whether these two structures actually ever existed, the hanging gardens and the Tower of Babel. They might have done, but for the purposes of this, I'm just going to say they existed, so it's easier to describe. But this tower, I said a couple of episodes ago that I was only loosely basing it on the Tower of Babel, because in reality, the Tower of Babel was a ziggurat. It would have looked a lot more like the hanging gardens that we're building over here. But we couldn't have two of them right next to each other. So you might think that this is going to be the start of the next tier of the tower, and it sort of is, but it sort of isn't, because the next tier isn't going to start until I build a little bit further inwards, because I'm trying to give the impression that I'm building another tier when I'm actually not, so I can fit a bit more plant life in. So I'm going to have small trees and bushes out the front here on this grass, but then just on the other side of these pillars we're going to have more grass and taller trees, so the canopy is going to be a lot higher. This way I can fit in more plant life, and it's just going to appear that that is the second tier, but then the next building won't actually start until we get a little bit further inwards. And I think these 4 walkways that I've put in on each side are actually going to enter the building. So when you walk up onto the first level of the ziggurat, you're actually, when you get to the top of these stairs, you're going to be inside a building, and then you can walk out into our lovely gardens. Man, this looks so good in shaders. I kind of want to keep playing in shaders, but we won't do that. So I think these pillars look pretty good. I'm using sand in with the sandstone. Don't be afraid of doing that, guys. It's no different than mixing gravel in when you've got a big stone wall and you're mixing in all the different kind of bricks. Gravel looks great in there. So does sand. And what else have we got? We've got the birch wood. This is what I was waiting for. This is why I hadn't done so much on this hanging gardens for so long. I was waiting for 1.13 so we could get the stripped birch wood in here. So I'm just not constantly using sandstone, so we can mix in a few other colours. But like I said, this is all I've designed so far, so I guess I just have to get back to the drawing board and figure out what we're doing next. But so far, I am very, very happy with how this is coming out. So after building all of this, I've decided to change it a little bit. You can see I've got the pillars coming back, sort of one archway there. But I've started to move it back 2 archways. Let's land. This is ridiculous. Oh, good landing. So I'm bringing it back 2 archways now. This gives me a little bit more room to do some trees in here between these arches and the main building. But it also helps me with this area, which I couldn't figure out anything to do. And the reason I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do there, fly, come on, is because it is directly above these 2 giant wooden gates. So when I was playing around with putting water features or something there, it just looked odd because there wouldn't be enough support to support anything too heavy here. Like I can build a little bit, but if I do something pretty big on top of here, it's just going to look weird with those doors underneath. So rather than build anything huge here, I'm just going to leave it pretty much plain sandstone, maybe decorate it a little bit. But I wanted this to look like a big grand entrance, and that's why there's nothing in the way. And it just looked a bit more realistic if I brought this back another archway. But before we get started on my idea for that, we have to do something about this drop-off. We need to put a little bit of a rail up here. And I did play around on creative for this, so I know what I want to do. We are going to use some end stone bricks, which always looks pretty good with the sandstone, I think. So let's grab my axe. You see, I've got all these slabs here. I always do this when I'm designing stuff in survival, because you can break things like I'm doing now and not have to worry about losing them down to the drop below. So underneath everything I'm building, I'm putting these slabs. I did the same thing in the Guardian farm as well, because I didn't know what I was doing with the floor. And because this is sandstone as well, if someone puts down a crafting table or something else and then breaks out their pick and accidentally hose through all the sandstone, they don't have to go on a long trip to retrieve it. They can just pick it up and replace it. So we're just going to break this up a little bit in a bit of a repeating pattern. So we will do little bits of them sticking up every 5 blocks or so. And just a nice little birch rail, and I'll just do that all the way to the end. Okay, we've got a railing in place now, and that is looking a little bit better than it was. But also want to put something of a bridge right here so we can get to the other side without having to walk all the way around there. And I haven't actually decorated this side of the archway yet, so I might just do it exactly the same way that I got on the outside, except rather than use acacia, we'll use the stripped birch again, and I think it just went something like this. You probably notice my voice is still really bad. I said last episode I was sick and I didn't sound quite right. Well, it hasn't gone away. It's still there. But we are struggling through it, so I guess we just want to have maybe some... Whoops, that's too many. Maybe some stairs going up like that. And hang on. I did do something in creative, but I can't really remember what it was. Yeah, something like this. So then we'll be able to walk across, look out the front, and there we go. Join him up. Oh well, that will do for the time being. I'll sort out something a little bit better later on. But yes, the arch is finally looking okay from the inside. We can walk up here. But now we need another little feature here. Nothing too fancy, but just something to say that this is the grand entrance. So I'm going to break out the flint and steel, and we're going to do a couple of burning pillars. So I'll just space these out the same. I've still got to figure out lighting for this area. We're going to have the torches here for a while. So I think we'll do 2 pillars just like those ones, but not connected at the top. Alright, last pillar, we're going to put 2 birch pressure plates there. Light him up. Where are my rockets? Let's fly off and have a look at this, and hopefully it doesn't look terrible. That's pretty cool. That's very magnificent for a grand entrance. I like that. And then, yeah, just a few patterns on the floor maybe, and that will do it. Nice and simple. Oh, I'm going to catch on fire doing this. Yep, okay. Very happy with that. It doesn't line up exactly with the big gate below me. It's just off to one side a bit. But I actually like that. You don't want everything lining up perfectly. Okay, we're going to need a couple of rails up here. I don't know what to do for that yet, so we'll leave that for the time being. But yeah, I've got to go around and do that on each side. Whenever I do a little bit of building, it's times 4 because I've got to go around the entire thing and do it again. But we might leave that for the time being, and we'll do a little bit in here. See, I've been trying to figure out the lighting situation. I'm not really sure what to do here. And once I start building trees, I'm probably going to get mobs spawning up there too. So I might need to hide light inside the trees. That'd be pretty cool. But this is kind of boring. I'm sort of sick of doing the bushes thing with the hidden lighting, so I might change this up a bit. I'm not really sure how yet though. Yep, the bushes are definitely coming out. It's kind of a shame. This took me a long time to put together. And I think, yep, this glowstone is so low, it's actually going to drop down below our slabs there. So we're going to have to go for a run to pick it all up. And this is expensive. Like, I've used a few sea lanterns in choice places where I think it looks okay, but underneath the bushes in a big sandstone build, it's got to be glowstone. It looks so much better. But it's expensive. It takes me forever to get trading with the villagers. And Curly Mally has a shop selling it because he's got a witch farm, but that is pretty expensive too. I feel like Hansel following the trail of breadcrumbs. So one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of building in creative is because I always find, like if I design something in creative, once I get up close and personal and I'm building in survival, I always get like a different view of it, a more close-up view, and I end up changing things. So that's why I'll get a bit of an idea of what I'm doing in creative, and then I'll come in here and build it in survival, because I know I'm going to change it in some way or another. So I've taken out the bushes. I didn't like that you couldn't walk in and out of all these archways, so we're just going to do some torches on fence posts. It's nothing too fancy, but it's better than doing the same old thing that we've done here. And I'm not sure how far the lighting's going to go. We will find out. But another thing that I've just discovered is before I had bushes here, because I figured that would be a big wall, and then you'd be able to walk through here and walk through an archway over there. But now that I'm not going to have bushes here, I might as well just put arches absolutely everywhere, all the way around the building, so you can walk in and out from any archway you like. I think that'll look pretty cool. Believe it or not, this is an actual building episode from Cortez. You don't see these very often. That's what happens when I don't have the replay mod. Usually I would just build it and we would record it and I'd do a cool little time lapse for you, but we can't do that at the moment. So you get to see me placing blocks, but how does this look as an archway? Looks okay. I think once I have a bunch of them, like I'll just keep repeating that pattern over and over. A bunch of them side by side could look pretty good, and we might actually extend this all the way to the bottom. Maybe put a birch stair in there. Anyway, I'm going to go continue building these arches all the way around. Well, not around the whole thing, just around this little section as we're designing it. Yeah, I think that'll look pretty good. I want it to look sturdy because we're going to be having more trees up the top. That's got to be able to support the weight. And we're going to end up having a bunch more, so that's going to be another 3 there. That looks pretty sturdy. Alright, I'm going to cut and we will finish these off. Okay, I've got my arches in, and I wouldn't exactly call them beautiful. They look good, they look alright, they will pass, but they look sturdy, and that is what I was after. But we need a bit more here now. We've taken the bushes out and we've just got these lights. It's looking a little bit plain. And we've got these main sort of walkways that come in. So I want to frame these a little bit better. And you'll also notice I haven't continued the archways over to here because these are a little bit wider and I think they need to be a little bit grander as well because this is our grand entrance. We've got to make it look a bit fancier. But first of all, yes, we've got to frame this, so I think we will go back to the hidden lighting. I want to put some bushes in here. And I've just made a quick stop down to the tree farm because I've had an idea to add a little bit of colour to the build just to mix it up. Like I intend when I do the trees to do all kinds of crazy looking trees with lots of colour, and that's how I was going to get the colour for the build, so it wasn't just plain old sandstone everywhere. But it can't hurt to add a little bit right now. Alrighty, here we go. So, yes, the flaming things look cool. I think I like the arches from a distance as well. Oh man. Why can't we put Elytra on a horse instead of armor and then fly the horse like a Pegasus and be able to hover? That would be so much easier. And the cool thing about building underwater is that you can sort of do that. You can fly around the build. It's kind of like being in creative. I think I like having the red in there. Yeah, the colour looks okay. Something's not quite right though. Like I do like that it frames our major walkways here. But it's... yeah, I don't know. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. So I'm looking at the dimensions of things here, and this grass comes to the very edge of that archway over there. But then you look at this grass, and it goes much, much further. It's all sort of weird, and yeah, I think these bushes should line up with those pillars as well. So I might just destroy everything I just did here and redo it, but I'll move it over a little bit. Okay, I'm still not 100% sure about the trapdoors, but everything else is looking so much better. This is an actual square now, and everything sort of lines up. So it doesn't look so unusual, and the one in the corner over here is a square as well. So I've just put another line of sandstone on these sides of the bushes. And then in here I've done a little bit of a weird groove with some stairs because this path was narrower than the path in there, so that groove just makes it look like it's the same size, and you would probably need some drains in the hanging gardens. They've got to water everything, so a few little drains to take the water away. Okay, this is the part of the episode where I have designed one little section, and now I have to go and do that over and over and over and over again because this is a massive building. So that is going to be the rest of my evening, guys. So we'll come back once I've got a ton of work done. Alright, we've been making tons and tons of progress here. I've actually built everything that I have designed so far, but we're going to take a little break from this because there is something down here I need to fix. My old vine farm. Now this was an Exuma design that worked perfectly in 1.12, but in 1.13 the vines no longer flow across the top of those cobblestone walls. They sink down into there. So we need to come up with something a little bit better. The reason there's cobblestone walls there is just to push them up high enough that when you're standing here harvesting the vines, you can pick them up through this little bit between the bricks. But yeah, we need to come up with something else. You know, it's really freaky down here in the tree farm. Now that I'm putting a roof over it, I'm thinking, have I lit everything up correctly? Am I going to get creeped? It's pretty scary. Anyway, this is the new plan. I've replaced the fence gates with sea lanterns just so we don't get anything spawn down there. And I have sea lanterns everywhere now. So they're going to push all the items across the packed ice here. And we've got some slabs up there because I'm going to put water source blocks on top of this soul sand. And we will put some, well, I'll put the water in first, but we'll put some iron trapdoors across the top here for us to stand on. And hopefully when the items shoot in here, they'll get pushed up through the trapdoors and we'll be able to pick them all up. So I couldn't use the trapdoors in the end. Well, I could have used them, but my buttons that trigger the water were triggering the trapdoors on the end. So we're using carpet instead. I only had white wool on me. We can change this out for green, I think, because it's a tree farm, and put a whole layer down here. But let's see if this works. Got our vines down there. We'll trigger the water. Oh, look at that. They come all the way up. That is brilliant. Did we get them all, though? Is there anything stuck? There's nothing stuck. This is even better than the cobblestone wall design. Awesome. Alrighty, guys. I have built everything I'm going to be building for this episode. And does that look like a sad creeper face? Oh well, it is Minecraft, so it's pretty fitting. But I've started working on the main building here, so I wanted to be able to come up these stairs, which I probably never will, I always fly, but then just have these nice hallways that open up into the garden, so if it's raining or something, you can just wander around here, keeping dry, and be able to look out at all the prettiness, and it lines up with our grand little entrances here. But this is also the way up to the next floor. See, I didn't want to finish the episode without figuring out how I'm getting up to the next floor. So we've got this walkway up here, and I might actually not make this the next floor. I think we'll go up another level because I've allowed so much room here on the first floor for plant life and gardens. If I don't start coming up pretty steeply soon, then the whole hanging gardens is going to look a little bit squashed and flat. And if you were thinking that you would be coming up these stairs into some grand sort of palace on the inside here, you'll be mistaken, because one of the big features of the hanging gardens was to support all the weight of the earth and the trees. There was a massive foundation of mud bricks, and that's why I'm using the end stone bricks. And you can see just inside these arches, I've started putting the bricks there, so that will be supporting the weight of the next level. So I will be continuing the bricks along here, so no, there's no getting into that area there. And I thought, why not finish the episode back in the shaders just like we started? We've gotten a fair bit done. This has been about 4 days' work for me. I build pretty slowly, but I've really enjoyed doing this. You know, this is a huge project, and look, I've been in the Diamond Society 3 years now, or 3 seasons, and I've seen a lot of people take on really big projects and they burn themselves out, and quite a few have actually just quit playing Minecraft altogether after that. So I sort of have a strategy for not getting burnt out on these big projects. Like, if you remember, I think the last time I worked on my tree farm on this hanging gardens was in episode 20, and I didn't touch it until about episode 31 when I was doing my server tour, and I just came along and did a little bit, and then I started getting ideas and I got inspired to come back. So that was 3 months that I just walked away from this project because I wasn't feeling inspired. I didn't want to force myself to work on it. And now that I'm back, I am loving every minute of it, and I think I will continue to do a bit more, and I'm sure once I start building trees, I will get burnt out very quickly and leave it again for a while. But that's one of the reasons why I haven't finished my tower over here. I'm just not feeling inspired to do anything, so I'm not going to force myself to do it, because I'm not going to have fun if I do that. This is why I have so many projects. I just go where I feel like building. And that's how you can keep Minecraft fresh and keep playing it year after year and still enjoy it. So that's all from me today, guys. I will see you next time. Cheers, I'm Cortezerino. I'll see you later.